Hello, first tonight, the mother of the 9-year-old girl who was strangled in a lorry cab by the woman's partner said today he had been her Prince Charming, but love has now turned to hate.
The body of Stacy Lawrence was found at the weekend in the cab of the lorry parked in Northamptonshire. Darren Walker, her mother's boyfriend, was found hanged nearby. Today, Roxanne Lawrence described Stacy as brilliant. She said that she'd had no inkling at all that her boyfriend could do anything like this.
Showing remarkable strength, Stacy Lawrence's mother Roxanne and sister Emma talk about their devastating loss. The 9-year-old's life was ended in the most horrific of circumstances. Their words express so much love for Stacy and so much hate for the man who strangled her.
Realising that she's never going to come home and we're never going to talk and we're never going to go shopping and she's never going to grow up and have her own children. I'm never going to be the zookeeper she wanted to be. Just hard to bear, really.
It's like losing a part of yourself, isn't it? It's horrible.
Stacey's family would call her their baby trucker. She loved to join her mother's boyfriend, Darren Walker, on his deliveries to spa shops. CCTV captured them at eye services near Peterborough last Friday after they returned from Norfolk. But hours later, Stacy was dead, killed in the cab of the parked lorry at Warmington in Northamptonshire. Walker was found hanging near the lorry. Police believe Stacy may have been sexually assaulted before she died.
In a nutshell, I thought he was my Prince Charming. Never would have imagined this. Brilliant with the kids, brilliant with myself. Family man, did everything. Couldn't believe how lucky I was. I hate him for what he's done to her.
He's murdered her at the end of the day. How would you feel about it?
Friday morning, I loved him. Now, I was hating him for what he's done. But the man that I loved is not the man that did this. Like, you know, this isn't the man we knew who did this. But obviously the man that did this is an animal, a beast.
Stacy, who was from the West Midlands, was one of the brightest children in her school. She was popular and she loved her books. Her future had looked bright until her mother's boyfriend entered her life and destroyed it. This evening, her mother and sister visited the lay-by where she died. They didn't stay long. Sally Chidzoy, BBC Look East.
It's been another day of turbulence for the airline industry. This time it's Easyjet. Flights are being cut and jobs lost. It's pulling out of the East Midlands airport altogether and cutting back its operation at Luton Airport by 20%. It blames rising overheads and the recession. It's thought a total of 250 jobs could be lost.
You could say it's proof of the old saying, whatever goes up must come down. After years of growth, budget airlines are slashing services. In July, it was Ryanair at Stansted, cutting operations by 40% this winter. Today, Easyjet said it will reduce services at Luton by 20%.
What we're doing today is we're reallocating our aircraft from the unprofitable bases to the most profitable bases. And the problem at Luton is that the costs have risen by 25% over the last 3 years, and that makes the airport uncompetitive.
It's a big blow for Luton, where Easyjet accounts for half of all traffic.
I think it's quite a big loss, really, because we use them to go to Geneva for skiing and stuff like that, so it could be quite a blow to us locally.
I don't think that's very fair, because Luton's quite a popular airport and people want to go to places, and now they're cutting their flights. It's just an inconvenient factor.
It's true that landing charges have risen both here and at Stansted, but the recession has cut demand for budget flights. That's probably the real reason operations are being trimmed back. Job losses are inevitable, perhaps 100 at Luton, where Easyjet has more than 500 cabin crew and flight deck staff. Unions want staff redeployed, so there are no compulsory redundancies. As for passengers, they've been warned to expect higher fares.
There's going to be a lot fewer flights this winter. That will solve for the airlines a big problem of overcapacity. But yes, for you and me, the passengers, it means that we'll have less choice and we'll be paying higher fares.
Luton Airport said Easyjet has chosen not to take up the improved commercial terms on offer from the airport. These are highly competitive and reflect the external cost pressures the airport has had to face over recent years. For a decade, our airports have just had to lie back as airlines queued up to use them. These days, their customers are deserting them. Richard Bond, BBC Look East.
It was announced today that 2 more soldiers have been killed in Afghanistan. They'd been working with the Light Dragoons, who are based in Norfolk. Both were killed in Helmand province. The latest casualties come as soldiers from the Royal Anglian regiment get ready to return to Afghanistan. The regiment suffered terrible losses during their last tour. We've been to catch up with them.
At 1st Battalion's barracks in Surrey, there's a permanent reminder of the 9 Anglians who died in Helmand 2 summers ago. When they were last in Afghanistan, the Vikings, as they're known, had more casualties in a single month than any British Army battalion since the start of the war. Now they're on standby to return. Stuart Parker from Cambridge only just survived a £500 bomb dropped on his unit in error by an American jet.
I didn't know at the time, but I was actually bleeding to death, which is obviously never a good situation to be in. Now, I knew that people were injured, didn't necessarily know who. You know, by the time I got in the helicopter, I knew 2 people were dead because I'd seen the body bags, but again, at that time, I didn't know who.
Sergeant Brown is on standby to go back to Helmand, now back in training and keen to take on the Taliban again.
They're as game as we are. There's more of them waiting to come over and have a go as well. So I think we all take our heart off to them, and to a certain degree, obviously they are our enemies, but we do respect them massively. But regardless of who they are, if they're going to pop their heads up and fire at us, then they're going to get it back. So.
What have we got here, Marty?
But the fight this time round will be different. When I last visited Afghanistan, I was shown improvised explosive devices, or IEDs. 20 of the 21 British soldiers killed in the last month were caught in explosions. As the Vikings prepare to go back, does their former commanding officer believe that the war is winnable?
We do need more effort, more resources in there, but with those resources, with a huge amount more effort from NATO as a whole, particularly from the US and the UK, I think we can get within 2 to 3 years, which is about all we've got really, we can get to the stage where we can make a real change to the stage of the insurgency.
No date is set, no numbers are confirmed, but 1st Battalion, the Royal Anglian, say they are ready again to deploy to their toughest frontline yet. Alex Dunlop, BBC Look East.
There's lots more to come on Look East, including the start of the political